Hi, we have another exciting micro multiple choice year 12 revision. It's going to go through all the market failure, all those great topics. Let's get started. So choice is, I love this question. It's really difficult. The problem with this question is you think you know what the economic problem is, right? I'm sure you've heard that the economic problem is all about unlimited wants and limited resources. But guess what? You're not given those definitions here. So we have wants increasing with incomes. So this is not really to do with unlimited wants at all. That's not really the economic problem. We're just describing that wants possibly increase with income, and maybe that's not actually true because wants, according to the economic problem, are unlimited. So don't think that one's a good one to go for. Incomes are distributed unequally. Yes, incomes are distributed unequally, but that doesn't solve how we use the unlimited wants and the limited resources. High demand leads to high prices. It does. That helps to allocate resources, but it has nothing to do with choices being important. Whereas this does. This poses the problem of a choice. You have a choice. Do you choose this use over the resource or this use of a resource? A misallocation of resources is likely to occur in a monopoly. So these are big companies that charge high prices and undersell products. So we're looking for something like that. So B sounds pretty good. An economy is always productively efficient if it is on the PPF. So I'm looking for something like that, actually on it. So any of these points would work. Operating with full employment of labor, this is tempting. You actually, to be on the PPF, you need full employment of all factors of production. So that will include land as well as labor and capital and enterprise. So that actually doesn't fit, which means we're left with less choices. And I mean, it's not really the PPF isn't really related to these two, but it is to do with this one. Remember, when you're on the PPF, you face a sacrifice. If you want to produce more of this good on the x-axis, you will have to produce less of the other one. So that's exactly what we're seeing here. This is describing in words that you're on the PPF. To shift the supply curve to the left, S1 to S2, you are looking for firms' average cost to increase or something like this. And it's not going to be about demand. It's not to do with the elasticity. That describes more about kind of usually the gradient. If labor productivity is still increasing, that supply curve is still shifting to the right, so that's not right. B is right. So a subsidy usually causes S1 to shift to S2. But if the subsidy is decreased, then you get a shift back to S3. So decreasing the subsidy will cause the S2 to shift inwards to S3. Negative externalities exist in the market for a good, giving rise to a misallocation of resources. It's most likely to have resulted from, this is negative, this is something harmful. So I'm guessing it's something that we have consumed or produced too much of. So overproduction sounds good. That's the opposite. Too few resources, B is the answer. A buffer stock scheme is not all in your specifications, but it's something that a government might want to use to try and control how much demand and supply of a good there is in the market to regulate the price. So yeah, to maintain a minimum price. So that seems like a really good definition. Government restricts supplies of a product coming onto an open market in order to lower the prices of the products. I'm trying to figure out how A is different from B. Okay, B doesn't make sense. If the government restricts supply, they're doing S1 to S2. And because they do that, the price is not going to fall. So B sounded good because it had the government and changing supply and stuff, but not good with the false economics logic. I like this question a lot. This is a really sneaky question because it's showing a movement along the demand curve, and it's asking what caused that movement. And I guess you've all heard that it's prices, it's prices, it's prices. But did you know what causes the price in the first place? Is, a shift of the supply curve going from S1 to S2 in the first place. That is what causes the movement along. So what I'm actually looking for is something that causes S1 to decrease to S2. And so I'm looking for, I'm looking for something that moves the supply curve the other way around. Right idea, wrong way around. S1 to S2. And something that helps a business supply more in that case. So I'm looking for lower costs of production, which could be wages of apple pickers. Income elasticity, the equation is percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in income. So 10% rise in income, we need to work out the percentage change in quantity. So I'm going to rearrange this. This is lots of fun. YED times percentage change in income, and I'm told this is 10. So all I need to do is YED times 10 and I will get the answer. So let's work out what the percentage change in demand for all of these would be. China 8%, Peru 10%, Italy 14%, Spain 20%, so C is the answer. Which of the following situations would lead to an increase in price? Okay, that can happen because of D1 increasing to D2 or S1 increase shifting left to S2. So I'm looking for something, there's more demand, I'm looking for higher incomes or something like this. So I'm going to ignore the elasticity part for now and let's just start here. The firm's labor costs falling. Okay, a decrease in average total costs, that would shift the supply curve to the right. So that's the wrong way around. Firm's labor costs rise. Yes, this would shift the supply curve left, which is what we're seeing here. So I like the sound of this. And it doesn't matter what the elasticity is of demand so long as it's downward sloping. So that sounds like it could work. Hang on, but get caught out with that one. It says perfectly elastic. So actually what's going on with this one is that demand is like that. And S1 goes to S2, so there's no change in price. Let's just cross that one out. I'm going to try this one because it's really similar to the other one. Demand is perfectly inelastic. Okay, so here we have demand like this. Supply, as we've talked about, goes from S1 to S2. And that will cause prices to go from P1 to P2. So that one will work. Positive statement is one that's testable. Yeah, that sounds good. That's exactly the definition. So just kind of learn that one. I want to show excess capacity. Excess capacity is another word for excess supply. So I'm looking for something at a given price having more supply than demand. So at this price, for example, the demand is there and the supply is there, so it's not A. At this price, the quantity supplied is there, quantity demanded is in the same place, so it's not B. At this price, supply is here, demand is there, so excess supply. Price mechanism helps to allocate resources efficiently because when demand for something increases, leads to higher prices and not lower rewards paid to them. That doesn't work out. It will lead to a distribution of output among individuals in greatest need. Not necessarily. No, it's going to be on greatest want plus ability to pay for them. So that's not related to need. Prices of non-renewable resources will tend to rise as the stock of such. This is the answer. So because of the price mechanism, we have non-renewable resources get more expensive, which is going to mean we avoid buying them, which helps ration and distribute those resources really carefully, the very few amounts that remain. Cross elasticity of demand, XED equals percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in the price of the other good. It's good B and good A. Complements, I like to use examples. So an example is a phone and a phone case. So let's call this B. If phone cases increase in price, we expect people to buy fewer phones. So this will be negative. Okay, a subsidy has caused the supply curve to shift down. So therefore the distance is the subsidy. And to work out the total amount spent, what we need to do, total amount spent by the government, it's going to be how many units they subsidized. So I want to work out the subsidy times the units that were sold, because all of these units would have been subsidized. So with the subsidy, we have R, units that were sold, all the way from O to R. And the subsidy is the vertical distance. It doesn't matter whether I use this one or this one. They're the same. Let me just use JL. Okay, so overall, I've got JL is the subsidy given, and it's been given for all these many units. And this gives me an area like this, which is B. Which of the following is an appropriate form of government intervention? You don't want to limit positive externalities, you want to consume more of them. The use of a buffer stock scheme to stabilize the price. Public goods don't have a price, they're not sold. The imposition of a maximum price on a merit good. Okay, so merit goods are things we want to consume more of. The price falling with the maximum price seems to be a good idea, although maximum price should lead to less quantity sold. So I'm actually a little bit uncertain about this one, but let's think about the new one. Provision of a subsidy. No, you definitely do not want to produce more negative externalities. So overall it seems like C is the best one. I guess it's kind of tricky because draw a maximum price. Maximum price will mean, whereas before the quantity sold was Q1, now we're going to have Q2 quantity sold. But maybe that's chosen to be the case in this case because, I don't know, the merit good could be education, and people in the government might think that that's best to provide for free, or sorry, at this maximum price because of reasons of equality. A missing market, this is great vocab. Use this vocab with a public good. I'm looking for something like this. So, firm deciding to produce, so public good. Okay, so producing a private good is not a missing market. Monopoly restricting output, they are producing something, so that's not missing. The government subsidizing agricultural production, it's produced, and if it's a subsidy, then you're just encouraging production. The production kind of was already there. So I'm kind of left with B. My thoughts on this is the good itself is not going to be missing, so whatever is producing this is being produced. But I reckon it's the externality itself that doesn't have like a market and isn't being traded on. So that was a sneaky one. Marginal social benefit being greater than its cost to society. And its marginal private benefit. Okay, so this is an equation. It comes in handy quite a lot. MPB plus MEB equals MSB. So if MSB is greater than MPB, then we know that there's been an MEB that's positive. And that means there's been really kind of positive third-party effects. So I'm looking positive externalities to third parties. By the way, it's going to be about consumption because all of these pieces of vocab relate to demand, relate to consumption, because it's about how it benefits the individual. So that's the answer. We have a minimum price. Look at this one. This is a classic trick, The minimum price is set below the equilibrium. It won't work. This price says it must be at least, I don't know, £1. But what if the price right now is £1.20? It doesn't matter that the minimum is at £1. It won't change anything. So the equilibrium will just remain the same. This regulation is totally ineffective. We have a PED question. These are good, they're good. So price falls by 35%. And we need to work out the percentage change in quantity demanded, which is going to be the PED, rearrange the equation, times the percentage change in price. We know the PED is -2, and you get plus 70. So what can we deduce? So watch out for things that are likely but not actually going to happen. The government is subsidizing the production of renewable energy. I don't think it says anything about the government subsidizing. Social cost is greater than the private cost. Okay, that would mean that it's more harmful to society. Do we have any evidence that that's happening? Doesn't have any kind of harmful effects like pollution or anything that they're talking about, so I think that's the answer. Government is subsidizing the negative externalities. For the same reason, I think we just said it's not that one. Electricity suppliers are paying higher average prices because yeah, that's the one we're just told here that this 10% has to be bought from green energy, and they're paid more for their electricity because it's more expensive. So D is right. And here we have a merit good. So we have the social benefit being higher than the private benefit. And by the way, the gap between these is the externality, or you could call it the MEB. Okay, without the government intervention, we have selfish consumers. They're going to consume according to how it benefits them. And we've got selfish firms producing according to how it benefits them. These two things interact and you get the free market equilibrium, which will be at output H. So we'll only have H output, but society would really love if we had consumed on the benefit curve and the social cost curve. So society would have preferred J. So we have that the free market equilibrium price will be not overproduced, underconsumed. Yeah, there's too little of that distance between H and J, so that's the answer. Farm's average cost changes and employs more of its factors of production. As the farm increases its output from OH to OJ, more quantity, average costs are increasing. This is not always in your year 12 spec, but this is what we call this economies of scale, and you'll be doing that in year 13 probably. And we have potatoes in a buffer stock scheme, again not in all your specs. If the manager of a buffer stock scheme for potatoes decided to establish a minimum price, okay, so I'm just going to draw that, so imagine that as the price and quantity. Minimum price of 12, it should go above the equilibrium. I wonder if I can find the equilibrium right now. Yes, I can, because the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied at 9. So the original price is 9, and originally we sold 4 units. So at 12 units, you'd be selling even less because the demand is all the way only over there. So at 12 units, we'll have 3 demand. So I think that's how many of the units will be sold. So this would require that. Okay, right, so if the government wants to try and maintain 12, they have a serious problem. They have a problem because the demand is only 3. And the supply, I'm going to look at the table, is 5. The supply is 5. So there's excess demand of 2. The excess is 2. And if you leave this to the free market, the price will come crashing back down to 9. But the government could just buy up the extra 2 stock. They could just buy it. They can take it off the shelves. And then no one knows those 5 units have been produced. All they see is 3. So all people are going to actually see is 3 matching the available supply of 3. So then that should keep the price nice and stable at 12. But in the meantime, the government has had to buy 2 kilos, 1,000 kilos of potatoes. So they've had to buy potatoes for the buffer stock. PPC, which are the following combinations, could currently be produced. Okay, everything that's feasible is inside this area here. So on the PPF or inside, so we're looking at VWX and Y. VWX, Y and Z, no. VWX and Y, yeah. That's the one. One reason why specialization raises labor productivity is because, okay, this Adam Smith's theories, he was talking about increased quality, increased speed, increased skill. So we're looking for something like this. Cost effective to, yeah, so if you have more specialized tasks, so if somebody just puts the you know, a pin together, you could get a machine that does that, and that will make it really efficient. So hope that was enjoyable, hope that was also useful and you learned a lot and you didn't get caught out too many times. Let me know if you like this video, and if you have any other suggestions, please drop that in the comments, and otherwise see you on the next unit, Year 12 Microeconomics Revision series. Bye!